Bonjour, mon petit papillons. It's your Butterfly Bay here, and today I am going to talk. That is it. I'm just going to talk to you because it has been about 10 days since I have been able to speak properly. I've been sick, and honestly, I'm still a little bit stuffy, but I can speak today, which I haven't been able to. I've been wanting to film new videos, and I physically could not do it. So I just want to tell you what's kind of been going on in my life the last couple of weeks because it's been a lot. So let's get into it. So the first thing that you need to know is that I suffered a loss recently. Someone very, very near and dear to my heart has left this earth, and that has kind of been weighing on me for the last several weeks. I learned about it over a month ago, but I haven't given myself the space to process it at all or grieve at all. In fact, instead of giving myself the mental space to process, I instead kind of put my head right into work. I picked up longer hours. I worked more shifts in a row. I spent a lot more time filming and editing videos, just trying desperately to get 2 to 3 videos out a week because I'm still a baby YouTuber. I'm new to this, so I'm trying to get as much out in as short a time as possible. And I was not giving myself the space to think about it or heal. So a couple of weekends ago, I went up to Seattle for the funeral of this person that I loved. I met my mom up there. She also flew down, and we had just planned to take like a 4-day weekend to go to the funeral, give ourselves a couple of days to just heal, and then come back and resume life, right? And I did not know how much I needed that. First of all, the funeral was lovely. Like, it was beautiful. It was a traditional Catholic funeral, so it is all about the process and the proper steps. It was beautiful. Like, everything about it was so great, and it was very nice to be able to go and speak to the family and hear about all of this from their perspective at the end of it, and to have that one-on-one connection with people that my mom and I hadn't seen for years. It has been years since we saw these people, and it was really nice to kind of reconnect and to hear from them and to be able to just sit and listen to their stories. The next couple of days, we just took the time to sit and heal. I had brought my laptop with me to edit videos while I was just like sitting in the Airbnb, and I did not take out my laptop once. It did not leave my bag the entire time that I was in Seattle. I did not know that I just needed to sit and exist for a minute and live in this process, live in this grief. Like, I needed that. I didn't realize it. My mom said that as well. Like, she had cried so much more over this than I did. But even from her perspective, she was just going to work and not processing it. So it was really good for us to just be alone together. We had a day where we just stayed in, we watched shows, we had food delivered to us, and then we had a day where we went out and we just did a couple of things. Like, we went to a couple of stores and we rode the ferry. And it was very nice just to be the two of us and like enjoy each other's company and heal. That was all great. And then Monday rolls around. And this is where it gets really bad. So I woke up around 4 a.m. on Monday, and usually right before like a trip or something that I know I'm gonna have to get up early for, I have a hard time sleeping anyway. But instead of just my normal insomnia, I woke up in extreme pain. My cycles had started basically, if you don't know, I have endometriosis, so my cycles are always very, very painful for me. But I'm also used to it. Like, I've been dealing with this for at least 10 years, so I am fully used to this. But the problem is that I didn't have any equipment with me. Like, I wasn't prepared for this. So I didn't have any medication to take. And since it was the day that we were going back home, there was no point in buying supplies. So I kind of just used what I had and I went with it. And I was somehow, I don't know how, because usually I'm not able to, but I was somehow able to roll back into bed and snooze for a couple more hours. And at 6:30, we were like, all right, we're getting up, we're getting dressed, we're getting ready, we're gonna clean up the Airbnb, pack all of our stuff, and then we have to go straight to the car rental to take our car back before we can head to the airport. All of that went fairly smoothly. So we were able to fully pack up and get everything ready in a timely manner. We had the car dropped off at around 8, and then we took the bus to the airport, and all of that was fine. It ran pretty smoothly. My mom has disability advantages, so we got to go through the premium line, which was awesome, to not have to sit for 2 hours through the line in Seattle, of all places, just to go through TSA. Except for, weird snag, my baggage got held. My one backpack, it got held up. And kind of waited there for like 15 minutes because I only had one person checking luggage. And the person in front of me took a really long time because all of her luggage got alerted for some reason. So I sat there and I was wondering what the heck could have possibly been in my bag. And the woman through TSA took everything out of it. And she had no idea what it was until in the side pocket she found my car keys. And that was it. My car keys set off the alarm. Couldn't tell you why, and then she didn't, I had to repack my backpack, and it was fine. It was fine. It just took a little longer, which, again, so grateful that we got to pass the normal line in that case, right? So then we're in the farthest terminal, so we have to take a train to the next terminal. That was okay. We got in it pretty quickly. We sat down, had a little bit of coffee. At this point, the only thing that I have eaten is I had like a little yogurt cup at about 6:45, which was fine because usually I don't eat until at least 11 a.m. because I don't feel well if I have a lot of food early in the morning, so I was just gonna have a lunch when I landed. My mom's flight was at like 10:30, mine was at noon, so I figured, okay, that puts me home by like 2:33, so I should be fine. And then I can just eat when I get home and I can relax and everything will be okay. I send my mom off on her plane. Everything's fine. So I go to my gate, which is supposed to be N8, right? And by the time that I get there, I get a text from the airline saying, oh, we've actually switched your gate to N15, which is at the complete opposite end. They're both at the very end of the terminal, N8 and then N15. So I walked all the way to N15. I was like, all right, it's fine. I still have like an hour to kill before we even board. And there are lots and lots of people because it's Seattle, of course. At about 11:45, we're all kind of confused as to why we haven't boarded yet. And there hasn't been any news about it. So over the intercom, they say, ladies and gentlemen, there is a minor issue that needs to be fixed. Maintenance is currently on the plane, but we're going to hold boarding until they have it fixed. I don't like the words minor issue. And they said one of the issues was the restroom, which, like, is an hour and a half flight. Probably we could have just closed off the bathroom. So definitely that wasn't the actual issue. So we sat there for a little while longer. At about 12:30, over the intercom again, they say, okay, Maintenance hasn't fixed the issue, and we don't think it's safe to fly the plane, so we're going to move you back to gate N8 and get you on a different plane and get you out of here. And of course, we're annoyed at this point, but it's like, whatever. We're getting on a different plane. So we walk to the other end of the terminal and sit there. Our new flight time is 1:30. At 1, they say over the intercom, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've fixed the plane. Please come back to N15." And you could just hear across the entire airport the So we all walked all the way back to N15. Boarded pretty quickly. Like, I think everybody was on the plane by like 1:20, and it was just fine. We just wanted to leave. So we did all the steps, safety demo, blah, 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 went down the runway, and then we sat at the end of the runway for 2 hours. No idea what was happening. We just weren't moving. And then all of a sudden, in the back of the plane, we hear a kerthunk. And the captain over the intercom says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I assume that you just heard that. We're going to go back to the gate." So we roll back down to the gate. No idea what just fell off the plane, what is broken. But the captain tells us to not get off the plane unless it's like an emergency. Like, one of the things that was out of order was the restroom, of course. So people who were waiting to use the restroom had to then grab all of their things, grab their boarding pass, and go as quickly as they could come back. At this point, it's like almost 3 o'clock. I'm starving. I had planned to be home and eating at this point, but it didn't seem worth the risk for me to get off the plane, try to get some food, and then come back, because I didn't know how long it was going to take. It took like 40 minutes-ish for them to fix the issue, right? Everything was fine. So they said. I was in a middle seat. I was sandwiched between 2 older women who were totally judging me playing on the Switch Lite. Like, I was playing Cozy Grove, and they were just like, uh-huh. And they both had their e-readers. Like, I didn't bring a book. I didn't want it to get damaged. I wish I'd known in advance, because I probably could have finished an entire book at this point. Like, the amount of time that I was just sitting on the plane, sandwiched between these 2 very judgmental women, and it was hot. They couldn't have the engines running while they were fixing the issues, so they said, "Please keep the shutters on the windows closed because it will get very hot, and then we'll have the AC run the second that we are able to get on the air again." We went through the safety demo a second time, pulled down the runway a second time, and then we sat there for another 2 hours. I still don't even know what was wrong. They didn't tell us what was happening. All that I know is that we sat there, and all of a sudden, all of the flight attendants were like, "Hey, whoever's in the middle, so me, will you check and make sure that all 3 fans are working overhead?" And so I was like fiddling with them, and one of them was blowing, but the other 2 weren't. And I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. And so they were like, "Okay, so we're safe to fly now. But the new issue is that we don't really have AC. So please keep those window shutters closed, and we're gonna go as quickly as we can." So we finally get up in the air, and it's fine. That was the loudest plane that I've ever been on. Like, I kept turning up my headphone volume because I was kind of low-key terrified that if I could hear the engine anymore, we were just gonna crash. I don't know why they never moved us to a new plane. It was just scary. And it was okay. We landed safely. It was fine. But again, I was supposed to have been home around like 2:30. I got home at 8:30. I hadn't eaten anything. I had no supplies for my endometriosis, and I'm not going to claim that I was the only person that had a bad day. Every single person on that plane had a bad day. It just seemed like everything was happening all at once, and there was not a thing that I could do to fix any of these issues. And then also, as I was driving home, I just went to Jack in the Box on the way. There was nobody in line, there was nobody outside, but it took them 30 minutes to make my one sandwich. And so while I was just sitting in the parking lot waiting for them to make my sandwich, I of course get a text from my boss saying, "Hey, can you come in early tomorrow?" It's like, yeah, I guess. Might as well at that point. Which it wasn't bad. Come in early was like 10, which still gave me time to sleep. It was so much all at once, and I didn't know how to process or think about any of it, and it was a lot. So then I go to work the next day, and that was fine. Like, it was busy, but it was fine. The next morning, I wake up at exactly 12:30 a.m. and I have a burning throat and so much congestion that I can't breathe through my nose or my mouth. I didn't know what to do. I made myself tea. I tried blowing out the snot. Like, nothing was helping. And so I was just up for hours. I was just up because I couldn't go to sleep. And I have worked the last 10 days in a row with that, like, not being able to speak, barely being able to breathe. I've managed it. It's been okay. But it's also made it very hard for me to do anything productive on the channel. Like, yes, I've released a couple of videos, but I've been more quiet about my process than I was. And part of that is just because I couldn't speak and I was too exhausted and in pain to, like, put it into words without making it seem like I was dying. Because I'm fine. I promise I'm fine. But it was like everything happening all at once. The funeral and my cycle and I'm sick and the plane and all of these things. It just happened all at once. But it's okay. I'm okay. Everything is fine and I'm here again. And I have a newfound appreciation for my life and for this channel, and this channel makes me happy. I want to continue doing it, and I want to continue doing it for you, you viewer, listening right now. You are why I want to continue doing this. So thank you so much for being here with me on this journey. Thank you so much for listening and engaging and just being here. I will go back to filming gaming videos, I promise. I'm about to film a new one now that I can speak. But until then, bonsoir, bon petit papillons. Bye.